Hello everyone, very warm welcome to this demo session on SAP UI5 and Fiori training. Thank you so much for taking the time and watching this demo as well as this session. In today's session, we will discuss the basics of SAP UI5 and also the learning map for SAP UI5. So a lot of us are getting work on SAP UI5 in our company. We've been already working with SAP ABAP, SAP BO, BI, or SAP BSP and WebIDE Pro technologies. And we are seeing that there is a change happening in companies where they are expecting more and more UI5 developers or Fiori developers. At the same time, we are also seeing there are a lot of opportunities in the market to grab, and everybody these days are asking UI5 and Fiori rather than obsolete technologies like WebIDE Pro. So with this context, I will start first removing some of the myths and confusions which we all have related to SAP UI5 and Fiori. That whether do I need to learn, XML views? Do I need to learn JavaScript views? Do I need to learn with WebIDE or Eclipse? What is the right tool to use? What is the right architecture? And will I be able to learn it because I worked on a BAP for last 10 years, 12 years, or BSP technology? I don't know anything about HTML5 and JavaScript. Can I learn this? Do I need to learn Java? All these questions are there in our mind. So I'm here to solve all these questions and also just give you a brief introduction of this course as well as the roadmap for learning SAP UI5. What should be the right strategy you should start with, and with that you will get a complete end-to-end knowledge and become an expert on UI5. So let's specifically talk about this course. So this course itself is framed into 4 different phases. As you can see over here, these are all the 4 phases in which we will cover this course. The current course is divided into 40 hours. So it's actually have 4 different phases as you can see on your screen. So to begin with, we have basic foundation for SAP UI5, which includes HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, and jQuery. So most of the trainers and training sessions which you attend, all of them expect you to know these things. But as myself and others are also from ABAP background, and we have never came across, learning these core web technologies, it's a challenge because everybody, when I go to a training session, they expect me to know HTML5. But then, I'm also confused where to start and how to start. That's why in this course, HTML5 and these basic web technologies are integral part of the course, which means you should even you don't have any knowledge at all about anything, you can still come and learn SAP UI5 because it's pre-packaged into the course. So all the knowledge, so you just need to be college pass out. There is no prerequisite to learn SAP UI5. I will cover everything. If you have little bit of programming knowledge, that is more than sufficient. Even without that, you will be able to learn SAP UI5 and Fiori in a very easy way. Moving into the second phase of the course, we will discuss about SAP UI5 frameworks and controls, where we will talk in detail about the architecture of SAP UI5 applications. So basically, it follows MVC design pattern, which some of you might have already worked with WebIDE Pro and BSP technology. So the same design pattern is also followed here. We will discuss about creating different variety of views, XML views, JavaScript views, JSON view, and HTML views. We will also talk about different variety of models like JSON, XML, resource, and OData model. We will talk about in general practice of creating UI5 apps using different concepts like fragments, formatters, binding. Binding itself is of 3 types: property binding, element binding, and aggregation binding. We will talk about all of them in this phase. Towards the third phase of this course, we will discuss about Fiori user experience, how Fiori is different than other UI technologies what we use these days, and how can you make use of SAP Fiori to build an amazing user experience. So that is what we will be discussing in the third phase. Together with that, I will also touch upon the latest concepts which nobody will cover in their training session, like component.js, router, route match handler, manifest.json. All these important and quite critical concepts which typically you will see most of the trainers would not cover will also be covered in this course. Then I will also provide you complementary object-oriented ABAP sessions so that you guys will be able to get some hands-on on OOPS ABAP, because that's quite critical and important for our last phase of the course, which is OData service development in Netweaver Gateway. So we will discuss the architecture of SAP Netweaver Gateway system, the front end and the back end system. We will discuss how to create OData projects by creating different entity types and entity sets, along with different features like function import, image processing, association between the entities, and so on and so forth. We will also try to perform the CRUD operations using OData. And all of this without copy paste. So most of the trainers which you will see on internet, or even the different training which are offered, you will see they will take a demo either with PPT, neither a system hands-on. You can just go ahead and compare this training, this YouTube video with other YouTube videos, and you will find that most of the trainers make use of copy paste of code. They will have some ready-made code written somewhere. They will copy that code. They will paste that code in IDE, be Eclipse or WebIDE. After pasting the code, they will just walk through the code and they will run the project and show you the output. And that's how they say training is complete. This is not a really effective way, and this is what when I started learning UI5 I felt so disconnected, because it was a challenge for me understanding the code. And if a trainer is also doing a copy paste, why should I go to the trainer? I can myself find the place from where to copy and where to paste. I can develop the application that way, right? Why should I spend my time and money behind a trainer of such kind? So that's where I have observed this big problem what all of us face, and that is the main reason why many of us have already taken some training, but it is still not effective. We are still lagging behind to understand the concepts and also to understand the overall picture within a company when SAP UI5 is being used. Yeah. So this course will not do any copy paste. We will write every single line of code so that we can understand the meaning of it. All the important concepts will be on your fingertips. That's the whole idea about it. Together with that, I will also incorporate the experience related to interview questions which I've got through, because I myself an interviewer for last 3 years on SAP UI5. I will cover most of the interview questions during our course. Yeah. So that's the overall structure for the course. Anybody have any questions before we proceed? Please feel free to put the question in the chat box, or you can also unmute your line and ask your question. Yes, Raj. We cannot hear you, Raj.
Yeah, Anubhav,
Yep.
are you able to hear?
Yep.
Yeah, what is the exact difference between UI5 and Fiori? Both are same or?
Okay. So UI5 is the framework. So you see here UI5 framework. This is a framework which provides you collection of libraries with which you can build the screens, right? So this framework includes libraries like sap.ui.commons, sap.m, sap.ui.layout, sap.ui.table, and so on. So when you build a UI5 based application using sap.m library by following certain guidelines, which is known as user experience guidelines, you will end up creating a Fiori application. So Fiori is about user experience. Okay, Fiori is about user experience. So let me take an example. You got to use an Amazon website for shopping. So when you go to amazon.com, you will get a shopping website on your desktop. But if you try to open the same amazon.com in your mobile device in a Chrome browser, you will see a bad user experience. You got to scroll a lot left and right to find out the desired product. That's why Amazon have also got a separate mobile app for the users of mobile devices, right? Why did they do that? Because the user experience. They want a very good user experience on the mobile devices for the end users. And that's why they have separately developed a mobile app as well. But in real-time business scenario, if I have two different code bases for having the same functionality, I got to maintain both the code base, right? But Fiori is about having a user experience which looks coherent and consistent, role-based, and works completely end-to-end in all the devices, whether it be a desktop, a tablet, or a mobile device. So it is about a user experience. Now, initial Fiori was released by SAP with initial 25 different applications catering to different needs. So that package was itself also known as Fiori. So it is about user experience. So you will understand the difference between user interface and user experience when we will reach to this chapter number 3. But to reach to chapter number 3, we still have these two chapters to cover. So, so many mails I do get from multiple people asking, will you cover XML views? Will you cover analytical apps? When you go through the course in a sequential phase, you will understand that all of this, what, they're really talking, they're talking, 30,000 feet above. We have to start with ground zero. So if you would like to start with ground zero, with zero understanding and building the knowledge on the right foundation, this course is for you. But if your expectation is just in one day, I will make you an expert, it will not be possible. Then I am not the right trainer for you. So that's what I wanted to explain in this demo session as well, that do not have, expectations immediately to get started with Fiori. We still have to work on our foundation. So foundation includes this and UI5 framework. So that's what exactly we will be doing in. Yeah. Hope that answer your question, Raj.
Yeah, Anubhav.
Okay, thank you.
And one more thing,
Yes.
Anubhav. Yeah, it actually this Fiori and UI5, it comprising a lot of coding in the sense scripting. We prior knowledge is required for this
Not
scripting,
required. So
anything like
for
that.
my course, there is no prerequisite required. If you will go with other courses, be in, online courses, they would expect you to know JavaScript knowledge and, blah, 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 blah. But I don't do it. I've designed this course in a way that if you are a beginner or you are, you know a little bit about things, but you're still unable to frame things in your company. When you attend your daily status meeting with your developers or your core team members, you are not able to understand what exactly they are talking. You're finding it so confusing, different people talking different things, and at the end you are unable to understand what's going on around you. So that's why this course is being introduced. So make your learning, make your understanding from ground zero, so that you understand every bits and pieces, and also what's going on behind the scenes in this engine called UI5. Okay, so that's what exactly we will target to achieve. Now there's another question from Venu: why UI5? Why not WebIDE to develop apps? So UI5 is the technology, is the framework. Okay, UI5 is the technology, or the framework used to develop app. WebIDE is the tool. See, in the name itself, it says IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Okay, so it is the tool to develop the app. I request all of you to please keep your line muted, so that we will not have a disturbance in the recording, because I'm recording this session, and later on this session will also be available for you to have a look at it. Okay, so WebIDE is the tool. It's the development tool to develop this UI5 based application of Fiori apps. Okay, so it is just like a relationship between ABAP and ABAP Workbench. Yeah, so most of us are familiar with these terms. So that's why I always compare the existing concepts with the old concepts, so that you can relate to. So what is the difference between ABAP and ABAP Workbench? ABAP is the technology. It's a technology stack, basically, through which you understand the syntax of ABAP and you write the code. On the other side, the ABAP Workbench is the repository to store all the ABAP artifacts. Yeah, This is the tool through which you will write your data dictionary objects, including tables, views, match codes, lock objects, search fields, data elements, domains, search views, all these artifacts, including report programs, classical reports, function modules, include program, your dialog programs, all that you manage using SEAD. So that's a relation between UI5 and WebIDE. Hope this answers your question, Venu. Then WebIDE comes with auto-generated code while designing the UI design. Absolutely, yes, it comes with something called templates. So you can make use of these templates and quickly get started with your starter application for SAP UI5. Yeah, but when you generate a project using WebIDE, you will get different artifacts inside. Artifacts like component.js. You will see places where it is calling something called router. It's using something called route match handler. It comes with new app.json. It comes with manifest.json. It comes with model.js. It comes with formatter.js. It comes with fragments. It comes with I18N. It comes with views. It comes with controllers. It comes with custom codes. It comes with OData model. It comes with all the features, reuse components. It comes with units. It comes with pre-built mock server. It comes with some HTML files to test locally. It comes with sandbox.js. Yeah, these are all the artifacts which comes inside the project when you generate a project using WebIDE. Do you understand all these artifacts? If you not, this is the course for you. This course will take you to the depth of these artifacts and make you understand what is the meaning of every artifact without copy paste. I will not do a copy paste like other trainers where they have a ready-made component JS. They will copy code, they will paste code, they will show the output, walk through the code, and they will say training is complete. That's not the effective way. You need to understand these artifacts from the depth without copy paste. That's the idea. That's the purpose of this course. And if you are by any chance have already worked with SAP Fiori, you might have seen, these many artifacts do exist in your project, and you're kind of lost and unable to understand what these artifacts are and what is the purpose of these different artifacts. Hope am I hitting to absolute point what you guys are expecting. And if you know all of this, then probably you should move on to the next level. So let me now build the understanding pyramid for SAP UI5, how you should always start with learning UI5. So first should be your foundation. Your foundation for HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, and jQuery. That should be your foundation to begin with SAP UI5 framework. Then you should have an understanding in building SAP UI5 framework with the gateway and Fiori applications with gateway. That should be your next level of understanding you should achieve. On top of it, yeah. So now how these things are built? How do you build these things? To build these things, you need tools, right? So there are multiple tools available. So most preferred tools are either you use Eclipse or you use SAP WebIDE. Okay, one of these tools you got to use when you want to get started with it. So either you use Eclipse or you use WebIDE. So let me put Eclipse in different color and WebIDE also in a different color so that we can also understand which tool to use. So to get started with these things, you can always use both the tools. Okay, then comes the third level is enhancement of standard Fiori apps. That is what is the third thing. You can make use of both the things here, but with Eclipse there is a restriction that you should only use Eclipse Juno with SAP Development Toolkit. Juno with The Fiori Development Toolkit. You got to use Fiori Development Toolkit. But SAP WebIDE provides inherent support for enhancing your Fiori apps. So I recommend to use SAP WebIDE if a requirement is to enhance SAP standard Fiori apps using extensibility scenario. In that case, this is most recommended because it has features like connecting to the gateway system directly, also extensibility pane through which you can, without writing much of code, you can quickly adapt and change things like you want to hide some fields, you want to enable some button, you want to add a custom screen. All these things you can quickly do it with extensibility pane. So it is a painful activity when it goes with Eclipse for enhancements. Then comes the next level is development for SAP HANA. So development of apps on SAP HANA or SAP S4 HANA. So you might have heard that most of companies now these days going for SAP S4 HANA and they're talking about ABAP on HANA. So ABAP on HANA is nothing but optimizing your application layer according to HANA database to make use of HANA computation power and to be able to extract the information what is consumed by Fiori apps. In that case, you got to build something called CDS view, core data service views, or something called ABAP managed data procedures, AMDPs, using ABAP database connectivity with HANA. So there we basically work with three different layers. One is we work with Fiori, plus we work with application server where we are writing ABAP code, ABAP on HANA using CDS and AMDPs. And third, we are actually writing, database artifacts using SAP HANA, like different modeling techniques and views. So in that case, you need a tool which supports these variety of artifacts. So that's where Eclipse will fit best because Eclipse provides you different perspective, ABAP perspective, HANA modeler perspective, and UI5 perspective, which is the general perspective for developing this. Here your WebIDE will lag. In WebIDE, you cannot add a ABAP server. That's a challenge for you. So if you're going with this kind of development, you would probably prefer Eclipse. Yeah. Then comes another advanced level, which is called SAP UI5 or Fiori development in cloud. That's your next understanding layer. So you see these two are bare minimum. So let me write there maybe red. So they are bare minimum for you to have at least some knowledge if you want to go with any of these three above. Yeah, these two are bare minimum. Without these two, it is impossible to get a complete knowledge on above stacks. So you're building you're actually creating a building. So building needs to have a foundation. Without foundation, your building will collapse. And that's what is happening around. You might be finding it so difficult to understand when your colleagues are talking to you, when your company, your manager is coming and asking you are the Fiori expert and you got to do this, that, and you're not able to understand because your foundation is weak. You got to build your foundation, guys. This is very, very important. Without building the foundation, it's very difficult to reach to the next levels. So some people come to me, will you show me creating analytical apps using KPI modeler in SAP S4 HANA? Array, first understand foundation. Do you understand component JS, router, route match handler, manifest JSON, new app JSON, building technologies, MVCs, binding types, concepts like how to do the aggregation binding, how to work with OData model. If you do not understand that, don't talk to me about analytical apps. Yeah, so I'm very blunt in about doing these feedbacks. So that's what exactly happens, guys. We start always from top and then we ultimately boil down to bottom because bottom doesn't allow you to build from top. You can't build the building from top. You got to build it from foundation. So then comes Fiori application development in cloud using cloud platforms, like one of the platform is HANA Cloud Platform. So there also you have SAP WebIDE available through which you can build the Fiori apps and deploy completely as a cloud solution. And then also you can make use of HANA Cloud Connector to connect to your on-premise application because HANA Cloud Platform is running on internet and your ERP data is residing in your intranet. So how does this internet and internet communicate with each other? It's through the HANA Cloud Connector. That's the advanced level. And then comes is more advanced level called mobility. So we have SAP mobility experts where we talk about more creating native apps using Cordova, plugin, the Apache Cordova plugin to provide real mobile-like features like camera functionality, barcode. All these features is what we typically provide using Cordova plugin. And then we also have features like barcode scanner, push notification, offline access, and SAP mobile platform SMP. And that's all comes under SAP mobility with Fiori. But to reach to these levels, it's very important to get started with this bottom. This was, the major question from most of the people asking about, can you teach this, that? So don't you got to judge yourself which quadrant you do exist. And if you exist in a certain quadrant, you need to make sure that your foundation is ready. If your foundation is ready, you can exist in any of these quadrant. So there are opportunities around SAP UI5 and Fiori in this world. A lot of opportunities are there. Yeah. So it's about knowing the right things and getting started with your learning in a proper way. So that's the end-to-end portfolio and the job options which you have with SAP Fiori. But all of that boils down and starts with here. So hope this answer your question about what is the importance of this course. So I do offer this course, enhancement of standard Fiori apps. This is what I offer, where I explain activating the standard Fiori apps, creating the roles, catalogs, groups, understanding the backend, front-end architecture and installation, debugging the application end to end, be able to activate, deactivate the business functions with SAP Fiori, also enhancing standard Fiori apps and deploying them back as a Z project, extension project in the backend system. And also some part of analytical apps is also covered in this. With this, we also covered theme designer to enable your custom branding, changing the login screen, changing the logout page, also enabling the Launchpad designer to be able to design your custom Launchpad for your business users. Also to be able to customize the login screen and themes. That is what has been covered in this course. This is the advanced course which I do also offer. Then comes is the next level, SAP S4 HANA and ABAP on HANA. There you look at more about optimizations on ABAP side. How can you leverage the power of SAP HANA to be able to fetch the data from the database quite faster and push down your database calculations, push down your application layer logic, majority of the application logic to the HANA server, because HANA is an in-memory database, has huge computation power, and that's why it's also known as in-memory computing engine. So this is the course which I'm also planning to start in a while. So maybe in the next 15 to 20 days, I will be launching a course on ABAP on HANA. And then I also offer this course of SAP Fiori development in cloud platform. So there you talk completely a cloud solution where your OData service should also exist in the cloud, your database also exists in the cloud, and your Fiori app do exist in the cloud as well. So there we discuss, in this course, basically I spoke about creating a Java-based application using Olingo framework to be able to create to be able to create an OData service using Java, JPA, and Olingo, and then consume this with SAP Fiori application developed in SAP WebIDE in the cloud and deploying it in SAP HANA Cloud Platform Cloud Portal. And then from there, given access to the business users. And I am weak in these concepts. So these concepts I'm still weak in, but still I can integrate camera functionality without this as well. This is possible completely with the modern browsers and the APIs available in the browser. I'll show you some examples going forward. So that's the end-to-end learning map with respect to, now you got to see which particular quadrant or which particular area your company is giving you the work. Majority of the companies which I have seen work with these three quadrants. They will either ask you to change a standard apps or activate it. They will either ask you to probably optimize your Fiori app or activate Fiori app, which has come with SAP S4 HANA. And other they will ask you to build a complete end-to-end Fiori app with cloud solution. So majority of the work comes under these three. But again, for all of that, this is the foundation. So hope this clarifies your doubt about the learning map for SAP Fiori. That's the learning map, guys, for SAP Fiori. You must remember this. Otherwise, if you directly get started with mobility, you will end up doing nothing. Yeah. Any questions on this? Yes, we will talk about
Yes, I
acceptance. Yes, please go ahead.
Can you quickly explain the question?
Sudhakar, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I'm a basis consultant. Now, I do know that Fiori is kind of replacing SAP GUI and it's a user interface. But my question is, as a basis consultant, what is the involvement in relation to Fiori? It's like the REST UI5, all that you're talking, I get and understand it's a pure developer oriented. But
Correct.
when it comes to this Fiori, where does a basis consultant fit in? Do they have to do any installation configuration? Because again, it's used on an iPad and an iPhone. You can name any device. So for each device, is there anything specific that a basis guy needs to know about in terms of maybe configuration or whatever it is?
Okay. So first of all, when you're working in basis, you will be dealing more with installation, upgrades, and checking the support packages if they are available for certain applications. So when your manager or your company comes with a requirement, hey, I want to use SAP's standard Fiori app for leave request approval scenario, then first thing you got to check if you have properly installed the support packages both in SAP frontend where your Fiori app resides and backend where your OData service resides. So basically your OData is your data provider which provides the data to this app. This app is just the user interface. The main data and the calculation happens from here, OData service. So you got to activate or install the SPs or support packs related to, or the components related to this Fiori app into the system. So how do you check it? So there is something called SAP Fiori library, app library. So here you will go and then here you will look at the Fiori application, what SAP has offered and from which release SAP has offered this Fiori app. That's what you got to go ahead and check. So let me just show you. So here you see all the apps and then I will search for the app which I'm interested. So leave request app. So if I come here, you can see approve leave request app or my leave request app. So I select this app and then here I will get to know the information about implementation of this app. Like what is that I need. So you see what are all the nodes relevant for this. So you got to be working with looking at these nodes and installing. You got to work with installation and install these components. So you see on the front end system side, this is the component which must exist. UIX01 HCM100 SP04 that must exist in your front end system to be able to activate this app. And then in the backend system, you got to have this particular component existing. After you download the respective components, you got to install them. And then you got to tell your Fiori consultant to activate the app. But suppose you don't have a consultant and your company purely wants to go only with standard apps, they don't have any developer as well. In that case, you can go ahead and still activate. For that, you need to first create a role for SAP Fiori Launchpad Designer and assign that role to yourself and then log into SAP Fiori Launchpad Designer and design the Launchpad for company. And there you will give access to these Fiori apps by providing the roles. So how do you know which role is required? So you can come down and see the roles which are required for this Fiori app. So let me just show you. So these will be the roles you got to assign. Yeah, let me just show you here. So you see there is this component. This is the name of the app. And you see here the catalog which you will use to configure this Fiori app in the Launchpad. And then you will also have this PFCG role which you got to assign to your business users for them to be able to access this Fiori app. Yeah, this is the role you need to assign. So how do you do these things? That's a not something which I can explain in a minute or so. This is what has been covered in my course number 2 here, enhancement of standard Fiori apps. Yeah, so in this I have covered about installation, looking at these components in detail, setting up the Launchpad designer, theme designer configuration, and also activating the Fiori apps and granting the required roles to the business users to be able to access the Fiori app. So that's what you have it for basis. But believe me, now the industry is moving towards a thing where you got to it will not work out. Like Indian cricket team, you got to be an all-rounder to get a place in Indian cricket team. If you are just a bowler or you're just a batsman, very difficult to get it. You got to be an all-rounder these days. Yeah. So if you are just a basis consultant, you say no, I will just work with creating the activating the app. They may not understand. They will ask you, okay, now this app is there, enhance it. So one or the other day, you got to come into the shoe of a developer and do some little bit of enhancements as well. Yeah. Same thing applies to developer, the other side. I have seen, it's my experience that once you start building custom apps and you call so yourself as a Fiori consultant, they expect you to also do some basis work or guide your basis team to be able to do this work, activating the apps and then providing you the necessary roles which you need to be able to adapt these apps as per the company need. So they expect you to know that actually slowly and slowly. So that's why I say, if you want to at least get a very good understanding on SAP Fiori, I recommend these first these two courses. So first course is about the foundation and UI5 together, and this course enhancement of Fiori app. These two courses is what I recommend to everybody to at least take if you want to get a good position in your company. It's my experience that people who have understood these things very well, they really got promoted quite faster. And I do have lots of examples. You can also go ahead and check the testimonials and my YouTube video comments about the people who have taken the training and they really got it quite nice positions in their company. So I'll show you. So, and it's very easy to crack interview as well. So let me just go to the website. Here you will find the demo videos as well as the video recording, some video recordings for these demo videos. So you see this course and its course content is also placed. So the current course which we are having is 40 hours of duration. You see a demo video over here. You will also see the Fiori enhancement launchpad training. Please look at this demo video. You will get some understanding. If you're a basis consultant, what is the architecture of the system? How does the business user access your Fiori app? And how you really do the stuff which is quite complex for these days for people to understand, because there are a lot of rumors, there are a lot of people with half knowledge, and they tell you something and then you understand something and then you go to some other person, he tells you something else. That's the confusion. Don't listen to them. You got to go in a right flow and understand and build your understanding, experience yourself what is the right thing and what is the wrong thing, so that you can guide, you can be you can be the torch leader rather than following somebody else blindly. Yeah, I have seen people who have come to the training and they say, Anubhav, very difficult when I get some assignment. Somehow I manage to complete my assignment, but still I'm not able to get that confidence that yes, I am a Fiori consultant. कहाँ से आएगा? You got to understand it. You got to understand it from the depth. That's very important. Then comes end-to-end application development in the cloud. That's where I spoke about, Java using Java Core Java, Java Persistence API, JDBC connectivity, and using Olingo framework to build your complete solution and deploy it in the cloud as an end-to-end cloud solution. If you have a startup idea and you want to get a hands-on that and want to build some product using SAP Fiori, this course is for you. End-to-end application development in the cloud. And I will soon launch also a course on SAP ABAP on HANA in upcoming days. So you see ABAP objects, this is more about object-oriented ABAP. So it's been 15 plus years for me in industry, training on different topics and different variety of things. So I started my career in year 2001 with PepsiCo in US, and then I've been promoted to an architect, and then I left the job and came more into training because I love teaching. So you see here, these courses are from years they are there. So not 1 day or 2 day. All these courses are completely taught by myself alone. So that's the knowledge base which I have built over a period of time to be able to deliver the quality training to everybody. And you can just come and look at some testimonials. If you're still confused, you got to really want to talk to people, you can just go ahead and really talk to these people. I can provide you the email IDs of the people who have taken the training, and they just really loved it. So, but make sure that I don't encourage you to or I don't enforce you to take my training, but please compare. Just go to internet, there are a lot of YouTube videos, there are a lot of trainers online. Just compare and check what is that they are covering. Are they covering complete picture? Do they themselves know complete picture? There are trainers who don't even know difference between HTML5 and UI5. What will they teach to their students? Yeah, there are trainers who don't even cover component JS. They just cover HTML5, some different types of layouts with some copy paste of code, and then they say training is over. They will not cover end-to-end picture, and without having end-to-end picture, you will again reach to same situation what you are today. Okay, it will not make sense to go ahead with training. Ask them the end-to-end picture, ask them whether they will cover all these topics and they will make you understand these artifacts without copy paste. If yes, I am sure you have found the right trainer for you. Okay, so you got to judge, compare my training, compare my video, my way of styling, or my way of teaching with other trainers, whether they do copy paste or not do. Some people may like learning copy paste. Then why do you spend money? You just go to opensap.com and there are free trainings on UI5. You can take those trainings. There you will also get some idea about how to copy paste and build your application. Yeah. So now coming to the current batch, we are starting the batch from Monday, which is 31st of July. That will be the time when we will be starting. I recently completed one of my batch. So July 31st is the starting date for the batch, and around September 29th we will be concluding this batch. It will last for about 2 months. The blog access will be there with you for about 8 months. I will explain you what is this blog access. Then also we will have a daily session for 1 hour, same timing, 7 to 8 o'clock morning India time. Yeah, we will be covering a daily session on that. And I will just also show you the blog access. You can come to the website and also just have a look at the sample blog access. So you just click on this trial blog access. So here you will get the complete study material related to the course. So you don't have to follow with me on every email. You will yourself can come here and have a look at this course content, the progress, and every day once we complete the training session, I will be posting the demo training video. So like today's session, I will post the video of today's class after I complete into this blog. So even though by any chance if you miss the class, you still have a chance to go ahead and look at with the video. All the training material like session presentations and study material will be posted in this section, so you can easily download the training material. Videos will not be downloadable. You can only watch the videos online. You will have 8 months of access to these videos from the day of starting of course. And then you will have all the study material available. You can just download this study material and keep it with you for lifetime. So the PPT which I'm preparing here, I will be posting this PPT into the blog. You can download and keep it with you for your future reference. You can also opt for complete video course. So you will see there's a screenshot here for my video course. So these are all the videos which I do have it already recorded from the past batch. I will give you an access if you want to go for speedy learning. You don't want to come every day for one session. You want to get started right away and complete your learning with much faster speed. Go with this video course. In that you will get all the videos in one shot in the blog. You can complete them with your own pace. But if you are specific about live class, you're most welcome to attend the live classes on daily basis from 7 to 8 o'clock morning India time. Yeah. So that's these are all the different options. We do have it available. You can go ahead and check it out, the details over here on my website. Yeah. So with this, let's quickly move on to creating a very simple Fiori app or very simple application using SAP WebIDE. So what is SAP WebIDE? SAP WebIDE is nothing but it's a development tool, just like your ABAP workbench. So in order to write ABAP code, you got to go to SE38 or you got to go to SE80. Similarly, SAP WebIDE is the integrated is the IDE, to be very precise, integrated development environment, to be able to create, SAP Fiori applications which complies to standard. So standard is all that what I have covered initially. So I will quickly show you how I installed it. So SAP WebIDE is available in two different flavors. One is SAP WebIDE Personal Edition. This is basically more or less a trial version available for developers to practice SAP Fiori. And the another one is SAP WebIDE Cloud version, which is more like productive version where you got to pay to SAP for buying a subscription for SAP WebIDE. So this is SAP WebIDE Cloud version, Cloud Edition. So here your company will purchase a subscription plan from SAP for WebIDE to be able to develop Fiori apps. But the personal edition is absolutely free for you to download to your local computer and practice SAP Fiori. Yeah, so I have already downloaded it. How do you download it? So it's pretty simple. You got to go to tools.hana.ondemand.com website, and there you will see an option to download SAP WebIDE Personal Edition. So let me quickly go tools.hana.ondemand.com, and you will see here SAP UI5, and you will see here the download link for SAP WebIDE Personal Edition. It was last updated on 7th of June 2017. You can see based on your operating system you use, you can go ahead and download the trial non-productive scenario SAP WebIDE. That's more than sufficient for us to be able to work with SAP UI5 and Fiori. Okay, I already downloaded this in my computer. Let me just show you the directory where I've downloaded. So I just go to my computer, D drive, SAP UI5. We will also see Eclipse, guys. We will see both SAP WebIDE and Eclipse. Both we will see in our course, not just one IDE. I will make you perfect in both IDEs because you never know your company is either they have purchased a subscription for WebIDE or not. So basically, you got to really know both the both IDEs to work with. And now I go to the WebIDE folder, and you see here I've downloaded the file. After downloading, I right click and extract here, and it has created an Eclipse folder for me. I go inside this folder, and I have this Orion server which I will just double click and start. So right click and say run as admin, and I'll just start this Orion server to be able to use SAP WebIDE in my local computer. Once I do that, I just come here and search for localhost 8080/webide/index.html, press enter, and it's going to start the login page for SAP WebIDE. Just to create an account, so account is required to be able to store your projects in your local computer. I already created it, just like entering your name, email ID, and password, and then you just log in with this. It will launch SAP WebIDE in your local computer. So this is your SE80. Just like for ABAP, you have SE38 or SE80. This is what SE80 for you. Yeah. So now you see I maybe have created some projects over here. So I'll show you creating a very simple SAP UI5 application with the button. Yeah. So what you need to understand before we proceed. So basically you need to understand how it is designed. So basically we have something called an Orion server, EXE, which is a server for supporting web application which can run in the browser. So anytime if you want to build an application which runs in a browser, you need a server. You need a server because browser, how the architecture is. So browser always need a server. So when you want to talk to browser, browser will talk to something called a server. Now what this server does, this server stores all your files. All the project files are stored inside this server. Okay. So all your project files are stored in this server, which you have it on the other side. And these files are accessed by the browser. So how does browser access these files? Browser requests to the server for some files, and the server responds to this request. So it's always called request and response architecture. We will go into the detail of this in upcoming chapters. So this is called request response architecture. So browser request to a server, server responds it back. So all the files are stored in server. That's why we need this Orient server over here. This is why this Orient server is kept, because it keeps track of all the files, and on request it sends the required files to the browser. That's why the purpose of server is. Okay, so we just started this server, and after that we are able to access the WebIDE tool from browser. If you don't start that, of course it doesn't know what is this file WebIDE index HTML. It doesn't know. Browser doesn't know. The file is there with server. You need to request from browser this file, and then browser sends you this file back. Similarly, there are other activities what this server does. In order to build an SAP UI5 application, you need to make use of something called SAP UI5 Framework, which I was explaining at the beginning. So you got to use SAP UI5 Framework. This framework is actually a collection of libraries. So any framework, when you talk about, it's a collection of libraries. So that framework is also residing in the server side. So server is holding this framework, but it is residing at a certain path, certain folder. So server has folders. So if I go here, you see there are different folders here. You see there are different folders in the server. So you see there are different folders inside this server. So this particular framework is residing inside the server, somewhere inside a folder. Now, how will your browser know when it wants to load a SAP UI5 framework? You need to request the server, please load UI5 framework. And this has been kept inside some path. Inside a server, there is a folder inside which this has been placed. So we need to tell in our application from where to load the UI5 framework, because without loading the framework you can't use its libraries. Okay, we will discuss about these libraries in detail. We'll discuss about how this framework is structured. There are components like runtime and design time components. There are different libraries. We will talk about them, all of them in detail in upcoming chapter. But just understand there is a folder in the server where this framework is placed. Now, if you want to access this framework which is placed in a server folder, you need to give path of that framework. So that path is what we give in neoapp.json file. So neoapp.json file includes all the resource which are used by my project. So my project needs resources, like it may need to connect to a SAP system, or it may need to access SAP UI5 framework placed inside the server. So for all that purpose, new app.json includes the path. Yeah. So new app.json, we will include the path, and we will tell the path and location where files are placed to be reused. Okay. That's what exactly this this file will do. So I will now show you creating a new app.json. Now you may understand what is this JSON. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Now you got confused here. You say, Anubhav, I don't know JavaScript, and you are asking me to know JavaScript Object Notation. Don't panic. We are not starting today. I'm just giving you a demo. We will anyways start with this. This is what should be our base. This is what we should build first, and then we will understand JSON. So I'm not asking you to know what is JSON already. This is not expected from you. You are a fresher for me. Okay, I will explain you what is JSON in upcoming chapter. But right now, understand it's just a file which indicates the folder name where this framework is placed in the UI5. So I already go ahead and create a new project. So let me just close all these things, and I just started with project. So right click here, and I just say new folder, my demo app, and I will also create a file in this called index.html. Yeah, it can be any name. It's a typical HTML file. Any HTML file typically have two sections. One is header and one is body. So let me put HTML over here. That's my HTML file. I will put header and then the body. We will discuss about HTML5 in detail in our first chapter. Then we have a body. So that's what I'm doing. I've just created a header and a body, and I say in the body I just put a tag called maybe just put a label tag saying that welcome to SAP UI5. Save this, we are done. This is our first application. I save this and I click on run. It launches the app and you see welcome to SAP UI5 is printed on the screen. That's like kind of a hello world application, but we want to go more beyond than this. Now you might have, seen SAP Fiori apps some or the other way, and that's how you got to know there is something called SAP Fiori, and you might have also did some research about it on internet. What you have found is SAP Fiori app comes with a theme. It looks like little blue color, right? Little blue background color is what you look at when you look at a Fiori app, right? So how does that comes? That theme comes when you load SAP UI5 framework. So SAP UI5 framework is the bare minimum for you guys to get started with. You have to tell your browser, please load this framework. Then only you can consume its libraries. Okay. So to load this, we need to use something called a bootstrap file. So we put script tag. This is a script tag which we have to put, and here in this script tag we have to tell from where to load this framework. So we just put a src property and we put slash resources slash sap ui core.js. This is what we do. So here we are saying there is some local resource in my WebIDE where there is SAP UI core JS is being placed. This is one way to specify the loading of UI5 framework. There is another way you can directly give a URL where the UI5 framework is placed. Okay, this is called bootstrap. Bootstrap means initialization. So like you start your computer, you call my computer is booting, which means your computer is starting, it is loading all the data from hard disk to RAM, yeah, required, or loading your operating system to RAM. Similarly here, when you start with UI5, you got to first initialize your framework. That's what called bootstrap, and that's what we're doing here. So if you do not understand, this path and frameworks and loading initially from local, what I have the easiest option, loading UI5 framework from internet. This is called bootstrap. So bootstrap for SAP UI5 online reference. Yeah, that's what I search and I get here loading initializing SAP UI5. And in this you will get to know a URL through which you can load this framework completely from internet. So I just choose from CDN and you see here is the URL you have to load SAP UI5 framework from internet directly. So that's what I will copy the URL and I will put it here to say load the SAP UI5 framework from internet. Yeah, you can also load locally because WebIDE comes with inbuilt UI5 framework libraries, which I will show you in the next chapter with creating a Neo app JSON. So you see a demo here. Here I've created a Neo app saying the path. We will not do copy paste of Neo app. We will write every single line, understanding every line of code. Okay. Typically trainers will do copy paste even of this so that you will miss it out and you will not understand what this line means. Yeah. Once this is done, I will also just go ahead and put a class name over here called SAP UI body. That's the class name I will put. Save this and now come back and refresh my app. So you see now the label also changed a little bit and I think it would have loaded SAP UI5 framework, but I think I used a wrong class name. So it should be SAP UI body ID content. We also have to give an ID for this element. ID equals to content. Save this, come back, refresh the page. Okay, seems like it's working now. It has loaded the SAP UI5 framework properly in the browser. Now what I will do is I will try to create a button on the screen. So I will write another script. The script is nothing but a JavaScript. I will explain you what is JavaScript, guys, in detail in JavaScript chapter. Right now just understand it's just a code which I'm writing in a BAP report. So this is a place where I write a code inside. Now what I'll do is I create a button control. So I say var obtn equals to new sap.m.button, and then that's what I just do, and I provide a text for the button. I just say click me. Yeah. That's the button I have created. So this is how you create a new object in the system. What is the syntax to create a new object in the UI5? The syntax is you got to put var variable name equals to new keyword, your library name dot your control name. Okay, and then you put sid comma s properties. This is the syntax, guys, to create any control in SAP UI5. Yeah. So here var is your variable name. It is just nothing but an object. Library name is nothing but your SAP UI5 library. It could be SAP UI Commons, SAP.m, whatsoever. Then we have control name. Name is nothing but your UI control name. Like button, text view, table, what you want to create. That's your control name. SID is nothing but the unique ID for your control, and properties are nothing but the properties. So we will discuss about these things in detail in our third unit, where we will talk about UI5 SDK. So you will understand for button what are all the properties we have. For input field, what are all the properties we have. You will understand them easily. So you always give properties inside curly braces. So you give curly braces, property name, colon, property value. Like this you specify. So you see same syntax we followed here. We use var obtn new SAPM button, and this is a property, text property for button, to give the label for the button. And that's what we did. Now it's also important that we're using a library sap.m. So when you do that, you got to also load this library. It's very important to load this library inside the browser so that you can actually make use of it. Yeah, that is very, very important. Okay, so this is why we use some new statement or new keyword in our bootstrap called data SAP UI libs, and we specify the library which we want to load. Okay, data SAP UI libs is what we use. So let me come here and put a new thing, data SAP UI libs, because I'm using a library. Name of library is sap.m. That's the name of my library which I am loading. Now you might have also seen in standard Fiori apps, the color comes is little blue color, right? How come the blue color comes? Yeah, that is coming because we also have to specify theme parameter, data SAP UI theme. So I just give data hyphen SAP UI theme, and there are different themes. I will explain you them about little later. So there's something called SAP Blue Crystal. The moment you do this, system will load the Blue Crystal theme in your app. Now if I just come back and refresh, you will see the whole thing will come in the blue color. See, the color have changed for my application in blue color because we loaded the theme, we also loaded the library. But oops, my button is not visible on the screen. My button is not visible. Why? Because I just created the button object, but I did not place this button in the body of HTML. User will only see the content which is placed inside the body of HTML. So let me create an element here called div element with some ID called Anubhav. So I just created a div element here, and now I will tell my button to go and sit inside that element. So I call place at API and I say sit inside Anubhav. So I'm saying this button object, you got to go and sit inside Anubhav. What is Anubhav? Anubhav is a div element. Div is nothing but division tag in HTML. When we will talk about HTML5 chapter from our first session, you will understand what is div element. Okay, you will also understand structure of an HTML file. So right now, if you not understood anything at all, don't worry. Okay, this is how we will be proceeding. I'm just showing you a demo how we will go through the course. We will write every single line of code. We will not do copy paste. I could have done a copy paste of this file and showed you the output, but I wrote every single line to make you understand. That's what will be the style of teaching I will have. Save this. Let's come back and refresh. You will see a button on the screen. Voila, you see there's a click me button coming on the screen. You see there's a button coming, but right now when I click, nothing is happening. Why? Because there is no functionality attached. So I will say when somebody press the button, there is a function which should get called. So that's what I'm doing. There is a function which should get called, and this should show me a message. So I just use sap.m.messagebox.alert, and I say welcome. That's what I'm doing. Save this. Let's come back, refresh, click on this. Nothing is working because I did not yet loaded this library. So I also got to load this library. So I just call jQuery.sap.require. SAP M message box library is what I want to load, and refresh. Click on this, and you see there is this box coming giving me an alert. Yeah, this is a pretty simple, straightforward example. Now you may be thinking, what did I do? What does this mean? This means I am asking system to load a library which I want to use. So you see, just like you want to use a subroutine which is inside a include program, you got to add the include program in your report, right? You say include your include name, and then you use the subroutine which is there inside the include, right? So it's just a reference, it's just a loading of initialization or loading of this library which has a function called alert. So that's what I'm doing this. So this I will explain you even more detail when we will get into the chapter called reusable components, or chapter called custom controllers. In that chapter you will also understand this in little more, and you also need to understand the framework which I will be explaining in our first chapter of UI5. So that's the basic demo for creating a first UI5 or Fiori app. You see it's a blue crystal theme with a button and giving you an alert. So any questions before we close this demo session? Anybody, feel free to ask questions. Unmute your line or feel free to put it in the chat box. I will take it up. You have another 5 minutes to take the questions before we close this demo session. So the whole idea is to understand these artifacts, and remember guys, never learn from somebody who is teaching copy paste. So if you are interested in the course, please feel free to send an email to me on my email ID anubhav.ebap@googlemail.com. gmail.com. Yep. Yeah, Priyesh.
Yeah. So Anvo, I wanted to know, like, we'll be having class on Saturday and Sunday also, like all 7 days a week.
No, it's a weekday batch. So daily weekday morning India time, which is for US, it will be Sunday evening to Friday evening US timings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and one more thing I wanted to know is, like, since this course is divided into 4 parts. Okay, so I can understand like this first, second, and third part we can cover via open sources like this WebIDE or Eclipse. Okay,
Correct.
but this fourth part, this OData services, it required SAP system access, right, to develop and write those all ABAP codes or something like. So are you going to arrange SAP system access also to integrate with my WebIDE or Eclipse or something like?
Understood. So SAP system is something which is on demand, because majority of the people who come to me, they will say, Ki Anubhav, we already have a server in our company, why should we pay for it? And that happens majority of the time because you are already in your company or in some project, you already have some server over there, so you don't want to spend for it. That's why I have taken this cost factor out of the training fee also and kept it as a separate component. So based on your demand, you can opt for it. You can purchase it also from somewhere else, wherever you like. If you want to go with me, I can arrange it to you for per month basis. So for that we can discuss on the email, because it's more like a demo session, so I don't want to discuss the cost factor. You can send an email to me and then I will discuss. It's also given, the details are given on my blog.
Yeah, yeah. Thank
So
you,
it's not included in
Anvo.
the training fee, it is separate. It's on demand, your choice. You want it, you will get it. If you don't want to spend, obviously you will not be charged for it. But other trainers, they will actually charge you for 3 month server access inbuilt inside the course fee, which increases the course fee for you, even you don't want it, right?
Yeah, so one more thing I wanted to know, like during this entire 2 months, like usually, like how many projects or how many apps like you are going to showcase or something like
Okay, let me
custom
show
app,
you.
I mean to say.
Good question. Let me show you something. which I had already created. So it will not be like, I will show you so many apps, but of course you will be bombarded with all the concepts. So all the concepts which are there, I will not miss even a single concept. All these concepts will be covered. So let me show you some of these apps which we had created during my last batch. So let me just open Eclipse. I'll just close the WebIDE before doing so that it don't interfere with my Eclipse Tomcat. Yeah, in the meantime, anybody, any other questions you have, feel free to ask.
Yes, coming back to that basis administrative thing, this NetWeaver gateway, does the basis have to install that, or where does that fit in into all this Fiori?
Okay, so if you want to go pure about configuration and stuff like that, you should opt for second course, because that's more about, some little bit of basis work. But as I mentioned, it is also important to know Fiori development, because then you will become an all-rounder. Now it's your choice. You want to become just a bowler, and if you don't take wickets, then definitely you have a problem in the team, because over a period of time they expect you to even do the development task. And believe me, it's not difficult. I just try to set up the context over here. There were a couple of college students who have come and joined me, understanding SAP UI5. They say, Anubhav sir, we are freshers and it's difficult to get a job. And we hear that Fiori is doing good, so we want to learn. Would you recommend? I said, yes, why not? They learned it, and one of them got placed in Genpack, and another person have got in Capgemini as a fresher. So they have put 1 year of Fiori experience, and they were able to successfully crack the interview. Because ironically, interviewers also don't know things. This is funny part, because right now it's a moving in technology, and the knowledge is very limited. So you will easily get through it easily. I can give you my student contacts who were like kind of, even some people from not from software background. They wanted to do something, and they did it. And one of my student, his name is Deepak. Yesterday he called me in the evening and he said he got a job in one of the company. So this is what kicks me in always, when somebody comes and give me some kind of good news. Hey Anubhav, we got a job. Hey Anubhav, I got promoted. Hey Anubhav, I finished today this POC. Hey Anubhav, I completed this and my manager is so happy. Hey Anubhav, I got an on-site opportunity. So these many things always come across. I always hear when they have the right knowledge. And of course it's not me, it's you. It's you who has put sincere effort in learning. You showcase your interest, and I was just an enabler. And it's the one people, those people who have done so much of effort and hard work to be able to do things on their own. Okay, now coming back here, you see these are all the apps which we had created in the last batch. You see a Fiori like app, and if I just expand it, you will see these many artifacts inside. See all the artifacts I covered: formatters, fragments, I18N, models, utils, views, controllers, component.js, manifest.json, index HTML. If you come in component.js, you will see a router over here. You see, there is this router. All these things. Google Map integration is what also I will cover during this course. So let me show you this example of Google Map integration, which we had created. So I just right click and run this one, show you some nice example. And in fact, yesterday I had also integrated camera functionality with SAP Fiori. I will show you that during our course, how to do that easily. So I just run this in the browser. So see, this is the kind of user interface you can really build. So tell me, anybody, any location name, anybody, what do you want? What do you want me to search? Any location, please. Any wonder of world?
Better search.
Sorry.
Yeah, you search your location only.
Okay, let me search Taj Mahal.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. That's Taj Mahal. You see, and I just also show you this. Just go ahead and or just quickly drag and drop, and I am in the Taj compound. Wow. So that's the kind of capability, the features you can develop with SAP Fiori. This is a Google Map integration, and believe me, it's not more than 10 minutes job. It looks like, you know, some kind of a rocket science, but it's not more than 10 minutes job, believe me. You can search the Taj, Mumbai.
Anubhav,
Yep. And I'm on Gateway of
can you
India.
please,
Yep, please go ahead.
can you please repeat me about neoapp.json once again?
Sorry?
Or it's a neoapp.json. You're saying something about neoapp, right? Neoapp.json.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Can you please tell me about it
Okay.
once again?
NeoApp.json. Okay, very good question. So let's come back over here. So NeoApp.json basically will be helpful for you to be able to talk to. Okay, let me restart this to this Orient server. So this Orient server has information about your UI5 framework and different runtime libraries which you would need to run your application. Okay, that's what this NeoApp.json has. So let me just run this once again. So what it does, it basically gives you a reference. So let me show you in existing file. Probably we are running out of time, so I will quickly show it to you over here. So if you just come here in this demo app and this index HTML, you see here the UI5 library is not referenced from internet like we did it today. It says resources / UI5 core.js. Now, how does it know where does this resource folder will take you, right? What is this resource folder mean? Where is it? So since it doesn't have HTTP, some website name, it means it's local reference. Now this local reference you have to also tell in NeoApp.json. What does this local reference mean? So if you come here and if you see anything starting with /resources means /resources, it's a service of SAP UI5 with this version of UI5, which it is taking from WebIDE Orient server. So this is the path it will consider from local. It's a local version of UI5 which it will load. And the version which it will load is 1.44.12. So it basically helps you to connect to the local SAP UI5 framework, which is there shipped along with WebIDE. You will understand this bootstrapping and these details in detail when we will slowly understand JavaScript, because this is actually a JavaScript. This is referencing an external JavaScript file. This technique is called referencing external JavaScript. So you'll understand this in detail. Even you see there is this something called resource roots. This is called namespace. So all these things are there and you got to learn them. Until you learn them, they will bother you. They will bother you because real-time projects do cover all these things. See this project. It has so many different artifacts. See formatters, groupers, model.js. There are unit tests, there are views, there are manifestation, there's a component.js, there is this mock server, there is this controllers, there are different lines of code, I18N. So this folder structure will bother you until you really understand each artifact in detail.
Okay. One more question, Anubhav. In the beginning of application, while you're showing that standard application components, front end and back end. So in the back end, our raw data will be there, right? We get our data from to our application from
Correct.
our back end.
Yes, you will get from your ECC system.
Yeah, ECC system, right? So that means there will be a standard work data component also. You have shown me on
This is
that
called
SAP Fiori.
IWDP. This is the component name which has to be installed in the backend system to be able to enable OData development and OData enablement for the backend. Along with this, you got to also go ahead and make some customizings. You have to create a system alias. You have to also activate the Netweaver gateway layer. All these configurations of SPRO, customizing in SPRO, are explained in my next course, which is WebIDE and Launchpad with standard Fiori apps. It's more like basis work.
Okay. Okay. So for standard applications, when we install our backend component, does it use the standard service URL also, or we need to create it? Because
you need to activate the services in your gateway.
Oh, that's it. That means once we install our backend component,
you will
more
get the
data service
OData
will.
projects from SAP, and then you got to go to your front-end system, and then you will have something called external service reference. With the help of that, you need to register. This even this activity is covered in my current course in the last unit. How to build the OData service, how to activate it in the gateway, and finally consume these OData services from the SAP Fiori app.
Okay, fine.
So it's basically a mixture, it's only basis work will not help you. Believe me, it will not help you, only the basis work. If you see, keval basis seekh lu aur kaam chal, it's difficult. They will expect you to be an all-rounder because requirements will keep coming up. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? And then you will again feel pain. कि यार ये तो मैं तो काम नहीं है, तो developer का काम है. But again, you can't explain it to your manager. Your manager expect you to do this, but you will not be able to do explain it, because they will say तुम तो Fiori consultant, or we hired you as a Fiori consultant, and now you are saying you can't do it. This is not acceptable, right? So try to become an all-rounder. And that's what my intention will be, to make all of you all-rounder. Not because in companies, if you go now, you will also still find this, some places, one person only Fiori guy who will do development, one person only OData guy who will do a BAP. So if something is wrong now, this guy will blame to other, and another guy blame to another. Why don't you become an all-rounder and get to know the exact pain point or exact problematic point in the application? Where is the problem? Correct?
Anubhav.
Yes. Okay, there is,
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Anubhav, nowadays in industry, they're asking for XML views and other than, other different types of views which are existing. So are we covering that also?
Yep, we will cover XML views in the course. In the second course also extensively I have covered XML views, but you will realize when you work with the standard Fiori apps, JavaScript views are more important. Though the views in standard apps are XML views, but they have written lots of code in JavaScript, which you will not understand without knowing JavaScript views. You can go ahead and check Timesheet app. You will find they have built the whole UI dynamically using JavaScript. So this is what will come with experience. Don't be biased or be the factor that XML view nahi sikhaya to kuch bhi nahi aaya. It will not happen like that. You need to understand what is valuable for you.
Exactly. The problem is now even the customers also say what views you are going to use in the interviews. So if we say JavaScript, they compare with XML, and they want to know, can you do in XML view, and that is how others are using actually because of its benefits over
Believe me, XML views are easier than JavaScript view. I will show you examples for that. Okay, guys, I think we are done. Please feel free to email your doubts to me. I got to go for another session. It's getting quite late for me. So I'm really sorry to halt your questions over here. Thank you so much for giving time today for this demo session. I will also be posting this demo session on YouTube. You will be able to find it in a short while on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much once again. Have a nice day and goodbye.